In a certain village there lived a farmer who had a pretty yet modest daughter named Sara, who found favor in all who saw her. One day the son of the local non-Jewish landowner saw her and fell in love. He went to his father and said,
"Father, there is a beautiful girl amongst the Jews whom I have fallen in love with. If you don't make her my wife, my life isn't worth living."
"Whose daughter is it, my son?"
his father asked him. He answered,
"She's the daughter of the Jewish farmer."
The landowner sent for the farmer and said to him,
"Give your daughter to my son to be his wife, for he has fallen in love with her. If you refuse, your end will be a bitter one."
With a heavy, broken heart, the shaking farmer returned to his home and told his family what had happened, and they too were seized with fear. From that day on, his whole family was scared of anything that moved. Now, in the house of the farmer, there was a middle-aged scholar, a teacher named Rabbi Yosef, whose job was to instruct the farmer's 7 small children in the ways of the Torah. He was a straight and honest man, but he himself had no wife and children. Rabbi Yosef's only concern was the study and fulfillment of the Torah and the commandments. Well, for Sara, the eldest, she saw there was no way out. So she decided to marry the scholar, for certainly the son of the landowner would be disgusted at the thought of marrying her after she had married this older man. She told her idea to her father and asked him to ask the teacher if he would be willing to marry her. He did, and the teacher consented. They both left immediately in secret to the neighboring town, and there Rabbi Yosef took Sara to be his wife. 3 days later, the farmer went to the landowner and told him that his daughter fell in love with an old man and ran off with him, and that he'd been looking for them for 3 days, but with no luck.
"Liar!"
the father screamed.
"I'm being cheated by a Jew who doesn't want to give his daughter to my son. Do you expect me to believe that a young girl would willingly marry an old man?"
After his outburst, the landowner launched a thorough investigation as to the whereabouts of the girl. He eventually found out that she was living in a far-off city, married to an old man, apparently willingly. He was miraculously convinced that she had done this from her own free will, and therefore left her father alone. That teacher, Rabbi Yosef, was a hidden tzaddik, one of the 36 on whose merit the world stands. He saw that there was a modest girl in that village who was destined to be his bride. So he decided to go to that village and hire himself out as the teacher in the house of her father. He lived there for a couple of years and patiently waited for the girl to come of age. But when he heard that the adversary had spread his net at the feet of the girl in the form of the son of the landowner, he was greatly disturbed. He wasn't confident that the girl would be able to withstand this test. But her modesty won out, and in the face of danger, she chose him over the messenger of the adversary. After they were married, immediately after the wedding, when they were alone, Rabbi Yosef turned to his new bride.
"Because you have guarded the honor of your Maker, and because you were disgusted by the life of this Gentile landowner, and because you have chosen me, an older man who will not live long, your name will always be a blessing. And I promise you that we will have a son, and his name will also be a blessing. His name will be honored amongst our people, and he will be called by your name all his days."
And so it was. In 1 year's time they had a son, and they called him Leib. The child grew, and it was obvious to all that he was destined for greatness. But it was Hashem's will that Rabbi Yosef didn't merit to see this, for he died soon after. The young mother raised and educated him, and he became known as Reb Leib Saras.